Capitol Arts Gallery in Quincy, California, and I'm here with the featured artist this month in the gallery, Suzanne Roxon. And I'm excited to talk to you today. Welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel about what's on the wall?
I'm thrilled that I had the opportunity to put them up there.
That's great. How did it come about?
I got lots of amazing positive feedback when I entered some pieces in the county fair.
Oh, wow.
At the art barn.
Just this summer?
The year before.
Year before,
Yeah,
good.
This is years worth of work.
And so last year, we'll circle back around to some stuff, but in effect, last year, you just entered the fair as a professional or just as
Professional, yeah, because I have sold in the past.
so you entered your work as a professional, and folks said, my gosh, you should talk to Plumas Arts, or...
It was Plumas Arts that was talking to me.
Yeah, okay,
in the first
great.
place, yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Was it docents who were excited, or was it...
And people who are...
And so it came about that, let's schedule something for next August?
Well, they asked me to make a commitment to a few, they gave me some options of months, and I picked a year from then, because I knew I wanted to do a bunch of new work for it.
Yeah. So this is all or mostly all new?
It's all new.
Work. So made within the last year. That's wonderful. How did that feel? Was that similar to your accustomed output, or was this a new thing for you to produce so much work?
It was more dedication of production than I have done in the past. It's always been a little here, a little there. This one was just a year's worth of, I'm going to just
So can you describe that year? How would a week look in your artist's life? If this is the production, is one of these a week's worth of work? Is it 2 weeks worth of work?
It depends on the size and the detail. Some of my pieces.
So how would a day look, or how would a week look? Would you work in the morning or the evening? Would you work all day once you were kind of on the hunt? Would you take days off?
I would definitely take days off, and I can't put in a whole day's work because I have little physical things that get in the way, like arthritis in the thumbs and tremors and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I have to be kind to myself.
That's the reality of being an artist, right?
Yeah.
Does that affect, I mean, this is very fine, very detailed, very precise work, and yet you're battling those things, right? So was it your body that told you to stop, or was there some inspiration that said, the moment's passed?
My body would say, okay, it's time for a break.
Otherwise, you'd keep chewing on it?
Yep. When I was younger, I could do all day.
So in this last year, you would be walking with a friend or sitting by yourself, and where did the inspiration for this work come from? Would you imagine a rose or etc.?
I'm by myself when I get the inspiration, and sometimes it just comes from nowhere. I truly believe that we all have a muse, and many of us share the same muse, because I've seen things that show up on occasion. Wait a minute, and that person's on the other side of the country.
That was in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But a lot of times when I'm doing stuff, it surprises me what comes out.
So is there a trigger? Do you see something that then you want to capture in your own way? Or is it...
Well, I'll have an idea of something that I want to paint. Some singular creature or botanical effect or a fantasy that I have. And I might do reference to some reality, kind of study, and then put it away and let it come out in my version.
So describe how you get from the idea, the concept.
Well, I perfect the rhythm and flow on paper with pencil.
Uh-huh.
And once
Without color.
without color. And once I perfected the design elements, then I go to the colored pencil to establish the colorway I want to pick.
That's shocking that work this vibrant begins in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's shocking.
And it always changes.
And so when you say the structure, are you saying the composition, what goes here, the scale
Yep.
of things?
Yeah.
Is that when, these are they're small canvases, but that produces, I think, a kind of intimacy. And yet, to my mind, it's very sort of like bursting beyond the canvas because of the color as well. So you're establishing this in black and white. You're getting the composition together. How do you know how big or small this is, and why do you work in such a small space?
Part of it is because of physical limitations, because I get tired. And I don't want to give up on a painting because I put so much detail into such a large piece. So keeping them small really speaks to me taking care of
So
myself.
it's a practical thing.
It is, very much so.
But also beyond that, do you feel like you're attempting to accomplish something in this smallness?
No, it's just getting my designs out.
Uh-huh.
And actually, when I'm doing my designs, I'll pick a size of canvas first. And I'll establish, okay, I want to do a really little one. And I work in that. And then I need to do a bigger one. And it's just the flavor of the day.
Yeah. We haven't talked about your background yet. We've launched into this conversation. One thing I'm really sort of fascinated about when I get to talk to artists is not only their process, but like I want to know their spaces.
Space is a challenge.
And so that's what I was going to ask, because like so many of us, we write, we paint, we take photographs,
Yeah.
but like where and how do we
At
make that work?
this moment in my life, I have a tiny studio,
Uh-huh.
about the size of a closet.
In fact, it is my closet. Right? Is it that kind of thing?
Not
or do you
quite.
have
No, I about a year, almost 2 years ago, I bought a mobile home, and it's a very small mobile home, and the second bedroom is tiny.
is the studio?
Yes.
I see.
So I've got my huge drawing table and another work table and a few stand-up cubby holes and stuff.
Is
And
it your favorite place in the house, or do you kind of dread entering that doorway sometimes?
I never dread it
Uh-huh.
because it's full of my own work all over the walls, little tchotchkes that I've picked up over
Yeah.
the years that tickle me.
Yeah.
Because everything that I do has to have positivity and humor. I'm not a dark person. I always head to the light.
And these are screaming for all of us to
Yeah.
head to the light.
That's
Which
what-
is, a powerful statement to make today,
yeah.
I think.
I don't live in the dark. I live in the light.
Are you glad that your workspace is in your house among your life?
Absolutely. I don't want to be away at a studio because I love home so much. I'm surrounded by all my beautiful things that I've collected all my life.
Yeah. And the space is you.
Yeah. And my friends come to visit me.
And so you're working almost in this internalized dynamic.
Very much so.
Almost. The creation is emanating from within, but it's also happening from within this space that is you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're seeing parts of my soul up here.
That's a powerful thing to say, powerful thing to share. Which also allows us to go back and get some of the history. We're sitting next to your sort of artist statement here. But one of the things it says is that from a very young age, you were taught art, exposed to art.
My mother was an artist. And I expressed an interest in doing what she was doing. And when I was around 7, I think, she was showing me the elements of, like, the geometric sections of a human body from when she went to school. She just told me when I was that little, and I picked up on it and went, yeah, that works. And always wanted to be creating something.
So tell me, what kind of art was she making? What was her medium? What did it look like?
She dabbled in a lot of different things. She started out as a commercial artist. Back in the day before there was computer, she used to do cut and paste for the Yellow Pages.
Oh, wow.
And
Yellow Pages, what's that?
I know. And back in the 60s, our next door neighbor worked for the CIA. At that time, we lived right north of DC.
Oh, wow.
And he said,
there wasn't much going on then.
He said, yeah. He said, how would you like to work, this is to my mom, at the CIA as an artist? And she did. She worked at Langley down in the basement.
Sketching
She made
Russians?
in-house charts, graphs, pamphlets, all kinds of circulars.
And so that's as this sort of practicing commercial and very practical sort of art. Did she continue with her fine arts?
We didn't stay there. We lived there for a couple of years, and then when they moved back to Walnut Creek, she started doing clothing embellishment, and she taught some classes.
At Diablo Valley College? Or just sort of on
It was through the Stitchers Guild
Oh, wow.
in Walnut Creek, and she was discovered by these people who wanted to do a stitchery kit company. They started in their garage, and it developed into, and it's not related to the magazine, but Sunset Designs. And she designed stitchery kits.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she really was doing, framed art hanging on the wall, but
All
also...
kinds. Yeah.
That's wild. And so is that a fraught relationship for you? Did you find yourself identifying as an artist early?
Oh, yeah.
And she fostered that. Did you, I don't know why I'm asking this, but it occurs to me, was there something competitive?
Not at all.
Or were you artists working together?
My mother was so in love with me.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a rare relationship for a lot of people to have such a lovely relationship with their parent.
Yeah.
But she nurtured me.
Yeah.
From the
It's interesting though, like I have a wonderful relationship with my now adult son. I'm an English professor. It didn't work out so well when we did English homework together. So which is why I'm asking.
Art's a different flavor.
Yeah.
It's a different part of your brain. And because she was so devoted to me, there was never any competition. I encouraged her with what she was doing. She encouraged me with what I was doing. I do metal work too, but I haven't done it for a few years because I haven't had the space.
Yeah.
So painting's been my forte.
Is that welding, soldering?
Jewelry.
I see.
But I start from scratch.
Yeah.
Sheet metal, and I did casting for years. I made hundreds of wedding rings, but I don't do that anymore.
Need a bigger place.
More expense.
Yeah. This is fascinating then. So is your mom sort of right here as you do this all these years later? Or is it sort of you entire?
She's always in the background. Yeah, she passed away in 2004. But she's always kind of hovering around, both my parents. Because my father had kind of an artistic streak as well.
Yeah.
So I was surrounded by it.
Yeah, this seems like a productive year to me. You're coming out of that really rich background. Have there been other sort of moments of intense creativity for you where you've really sort of knocked out whatever thing is capturing you now?
More in the jewelry sector. The painting has been what I've been doing since I moved to Quincy, which 2015 is when I moved up here. And I've always had 2 studios, now I just have 1. So.
And the jewelry spiked just because you were, that's where your head was at, or was there's something else going on?
A little pressure to make money from a spouse. And so that's what I was pushing.
So it was less than an elegant reason or inspiring reason.
Yeah.
And yet.
But it was functional.
Did you go to like craft fairs? Were you selling it online?
I did craft fairs and word of mouth. I managed a gift store where everything in it was handmade, and I sold my own.
You mentioned that here because you're from the North Bay.
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah, and part of your bio suggests that some of this work you were doing was as a teacher, and in particular as part of a larger rehabilitation project. So art as rehabilitation.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
That was a fascinating experiment. It lasted for a few years until some bad eggs got in there and messed everything up. But we had grants for.
So tell me what you were working on.
I was
and how it
approached
came about.
by some of the teachers. Well, the main teacher, who was
where?
in San Rafael in Marin.
Was it at a school or was it?
It was an old. I guess it was downstairs. There was a basement, and then there was a middle ground, and then there was an upstairs. And we were setting up all kinds of workshops to get people who were trying to get off of heroin.
Was this a public funded project or someone's?
We got grants from NIMH when it still existed, and the grants were what paid for our salaries.
I see. And so was everybody focused on rehabilitation of addicts, or were there other things at play in this larger?
Well, it was basically set up for the population that was addicted. It was given to them as an option of not going to jail when they would get arrested for things. So we had them on methadone, and we had some therapists in-house, at least one all the time. And we set up several different workshops in this wonderful old building. I set up the jewelry studio. There was a huge ceramic studio. Downstairs we had boat building and upholstery.
Wow.
We had a leather studio. She had gotten all these leather sewing machines. We even had things like candle making.
So it was everything from art as therapy to like learning a skill so they could go across the bay to Oakland and work in a shop there.
Yes, yeah, because boat building specifically, the upholstery specifically was very oriented, but we had some amazing people show up who were in the program as clients who produced amazing artwork. So stuff would always show up that blew our minds too.
Yeah. Were you classically trained as an artist of some kind, or is there an educational background here, or is this you?
I have a bachelor's from San Francisco State in art.
In art.
Yeah.
And how much of that plays into the work that you're doing now? Is it like, are you still thinking about those lessons of composition, or
in those days I was mostly focused on three-dimensional things. I did a lot of metal construction things, masks and headdresses and all kinds of wild and crazy stuff.
Is that you? We're sort of getting low on time here, but you did mention that you've had other shows. Was that a period when you were showing work?
Yeah. We're in Society of Artists. I was a member there. I would help hang some of the shows.
And in San Francisco, did you have shows there?
Just Marin.
Just Marin. Yeah. But it sounds like maybe around Marin and
Yes.
sort of more than once kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And this is your first show since you've been up here.
Yes.
And we haven't seen your work except in the art barn.
I'm kind of the hermit.
Yeah. Well, with the very little time we have left, we've talked about your history, we've talked about your various mediums that you work in, and we talked a little bit about your process. But I just wonder, can you speak to maybe color? How did you arrive at this style, perhaps? Because it is very idiosyncratic, and some of the images are familiar, like, I've seen something like that, but not that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get here? And you know, the vibrancy of it.
That's the muse.
Uh-huh.
She comes along and she just goes, you need to do it this way. Well, okay, this is good, I like it.
Did
If
it begin with lots of color,
Oh.
or did you sort of incrementally find your way here?
I think it just kept growing. It was one of those evolving
I mean, I guess the
situations.
question is, you've gone from three-dimensional art to jewelry to painting, and the shift to painting happened because, and it arrived here sort of organically, but
Mm-hmm.
you became a painter when and why?
Well, because working with just jewelry, I was starved for color. I was doing cloisonné for a while, but cloisonné is very expensive to sell because it's so labor intensive. And painting is a lot less demanding of the process. You know, I can go with the process of this and enjoy every step of it.
Sure. So you're giving yourself pleasure along the way.
Always.
Yeah.
If I'm not happy with it, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So,
Are there some unfinished works
Never.
in your...
Never.
Really?
I know. I keep pushing my stuff.
Uh-huh.
If something is not evolving the way I think I wanted it to look, I don't stop. I just keep pushing it.
Do you keep pushing on it all week long? All
As
month
long as it
long?
takes.
Do you set it aside
Usually,
and come back to
no.
it?
It usually is something, if I just sit there and concentrate on it, it'll reveal itself.
I see.
And I don't know where it comes from. It just
Yeah.
comes. And I'm happy with
I
it.
feel like my house would be full of great unfinished works.
Yeah, I don't finish housekeeping or anything like that.
Oh, enough respect.
But, you know,
Yeah.
but this commands all my
Yeah.
attention, all my devotion.
Yeah.
It's- I fall in it.
Well, it's wonderful, and I've enjoyed talking to
Thank
you. I hope we got to say what you wanted to say.
I didn't know what I wanted to say. I was hoping you would lead me there.
We're going to get to talk about a couple individual pieces in small chunks, but thanks very much, Suzanne.
My pleasure.
Yeah.